Wow. All right, can you guys hear me?
Thumbs up. Oh.
Thumbs up, Danielle. We can always see Danielle. Danielle's always the one I can see on the screen. Hey, must be the timing when she tunes in. So hey, you guys, we're at Kent tonight. Look at this group. We're like full. We're full to the brim. We're full to the brim. These empty seats are just outside for a second. It is packed, guys. So it's the hopping place tonight. So and welcome to all of you guys at home. Welcome. Now, if you're local, we have these watch parties every week. There's a different parent, a different mom that hosts the night. And so if you're local, put it on your calendar and join us one of these weeks. And of course, we're still available via Zoom for all of you as well, which is cool. We have a couple announcements. There's a lot of excitement going on right now. I can't even think. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like brain dead a little bit. Like, okay, what am I supposed to say? Okay, Moms group tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Join us. And every Wednesday for 1 hour, we get on Zoom. We have our coffee together. We talked about the topic from the night before. We get to know each other. Y'all are invited, all ladies. So please join us. We do that every Wednesday for 1 hour. Sherry is going to be leading the pack tomorrow. She's the mob boss tomorrow. I will be boarding the plane back to Vegas tomorrow. So Sherry's the mob boss. And auction. So thank you. There's auction baskets that have already been brought tonight. That was a nice surprise. Thank you to those of you who have gained items. Thank you. Our auction is coming up on Saturday, October 21st. It's our 6th annual auction dinner. It's at the Muckleshoot Casino. It's our biggest event of the year, so we hope you all will be there. So get your tickets. You do need to get your tickets for the night. It's going to be a delicious dinner and just a lot of fun. And we need items as well. So who do you know? Who can you ask? I was out pounding the pavement the last few days, hanging posters in Enumclaw, in Buckley, in Federal Way, asking people, managers at restaurants if they would donate gift certificates and things like that. So when I can't talk to the actual manager, I will ask the employee their name and I'll leave a little note on the procurement form to the manager and I'll say, Lisa, would you be willing to donate a gift card for this cause? And then I leave my information. I find out the manager's name and my plan is to follow up and call them and say, hey Lisa, I was in the other day, I talked to, Jennifer, and I'm just calling to see if you got the information I left and would you be willing to donate? So that's kind of how I'm doing it. We really need your help. If you have places that you can hang posters, we will mail you the posters. All of you that are here tonight, there's a whole stack of everything. So do not leave without the stacks. We've got everything you need. We've got sponsorship levels, so if you can reach out to your bosses, reach out to the big wigs, and see if they would sponsor our event. We have levels all the way from as low as $300 for sponsors on up to $10,000 sponsorships. And there's lots of benefits for the sponsors, ad space, things like that in our program, all sorts of benefits for sponsors and corporations. So I can email you electronically all these forms, you can take the forms, whatever. So thank you for all of your help. Reach out to me with whatever you need and I'll get it to you. But get your tickets. Any donations that you have come in 2 weeks from tonight, Solution Group Art's going to be here in person. So that's the night you really want to put on your calendar to be here. It's going to be a huge night. Sherry's going to be our hostess here. Getting everything set up and ready for you and all that, and then Art will be here in person, and then if you have donations, bring them that night. She'll also take them home with her so she can store. So if you're here that night, go ahead and bring them. That will allow us to kind of have a little leeway. Our official deadline for donations, October 3rd. That's going to give us an opportunity to put our baskets together and all that before the big day. But the sooner that we get items, the better, because then we can kind of see what we've got and know what we still need to get. And so thank you for that. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm just listening.
I made up a list of some basket ideas. So like one of them was a steak basket, so you could go like get a thing from B&E Meats and then get a steak turner and an apron or whatever, pile it in that. Yeah, cool list here. Art art supplies, because I was thinking I got 4 grandkids now, so I need a bucket full of art supplies and books and rock tumbling basket. My daughter's into rock tumbling, so anyway, this is a really cool list, and if you want this, you guys are, they're here, there's some over there, and then I can email this to you, or however you want me to do that.
Some cool ideas.
Yeah, it's really helpful to have kind of an inspiration.
Theme basket ideas. Tracy says benevolent bitches are doing a, oh, cool.
Nice.
Charcuterie boards, is that how you say it? Charcuterie? Is that what it is? Charcuterie board. Charcuterie board. Oh, that's awesome, Tracy, thank you. So Chris is writing that down, thank you for that, that's awesome. The benevolent bitches, that's a good. So, okay, thank you for that. Mr. Cowan. So I can't see anybody on. Okay, so I can't see everybody on Zoom to know if there's anybody new out there. But if you're new tonight, let me introduce you to Mr. Kyle Munkers right there in the front row. He's a manager here at Rebuild Recovery. And he also brings us Kyle's Corny Comedy Corner. So take it away, Kyle.
I'm not even prepared. All right.
Let's see because his face is a little at you.
Hey,
That's just
hey,
for us.
I think Nico can move it.
That's just for us.
Okay, fine.
Closer to cat nose.
You're this one.
Just gonna sit on my lap.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pants on the ground.
All right. No, it's okay. All right. So today in Washington, it kind of sucks. It's raining out. But earlier, I did try to catch myself a rain cloud, but I missed. I was talking to my family not too long ago, and I said, hey, if I was to pass away, I want to make sure you guys, that I get cremated, because it's the last chance I'm ever going to have a smoking hot body. An ex-girlfriend of mine was a police officer. One day she came home and said, "Sir, you're under arrest for being great in bed." But joke's on her. A couple minutes later, the charges got dropped. There was a lack of evidence. Speaking, I don't know why it's such an infatuation around the outer houses and all the clients, but and this is true, it's constantly talked about. They're always asking me the last time I've been with a woman. Personal, I know, but that's all they talk about. So I'm going to give them the answer. Well, it's, honestly, it's almost every day. It almost happened on Monday. It almost happened on Tuesday. It almost happened on Wednesday. You guys know the difference between a woman on PMS and a terrorist? Where you can negotiate with a terrorist. We're getting close. NASA prepares for an astronaut's birthday? They plan it. Yeah, that one's dirty. I was walking by the river the other day. There was a guy yelling at me saying, "Hey, I can't swim. I can't swim." So I yelled back, "Hey, I can't ride a skateboard. I don't yell about it." Selfish guy. All right, this is a good one here. You guys know the difference between your wife and your job? Well, after 5 years, your job still sucks. I'm not the one who made that joke up, okay? All right. It was, I heard it from my roommate, but I thought it was pretty good when I heard it from them. After my roommate told it to me, I said, "Oh, Mom." All right. That's all I got.
How's our sound up here? Danielle? All right. You guys are supposed to say hi to your parents.
Hello.
Now.
All right, let's get off them.
Now we guys want to hit the fan and the.
Now we baby.
Got Ryan's mom here.
We got Katie's parents here. She says.
Everybody loves seeing their loved one there, babe.
We ready?
We're ready.
Okay.
All right.
Bailey's parents are here.
Mom.
I want to first point out that when I do these talks, I always lay out that what I'm saying might not be true. That all I'm asking for people to do, like last week, was to nibble on it. Just consider it and take a week and consider it. Put it on. So I always said that this was like a spiritual shoe store, but I don't want to get involved in like some spiritual competition or tell people that we're more spiritual than they are or anything, but it's more of a shoe store in that you can try shoes on and see if you like them and wear them and see if it works for you. And it's not to be, it can be argued with, or it can be, but it can be looked at. And I just want, when I say nibble on stuff, it might be true for you. I hope that people will look and you know, I always have a lot of like anxiety after I do a talk, and I know that people have a lot of, it's controversial or people don't understand what I'm saying or whatever it is. And I just want people to know that just try it out. Just like consider the possibility that it is true, and you don't have to negate it or anything, and just look at it. Cause I've had, what I'm talking to you guys from is not something that I made up. It's something that came from a lot of teachers that I studied. And, you know, we can quote some of those tonight as I go along, because I want people to know the sources so they can go right to that source and see what it's like. But, you know, I think the first thing that happened was, I guess, I struggled with mindfulness before I knew what it was. So, there's this time in our lives, and maybe you could look at your life and think about it, but there's this time in our life when we're young and nothing's wrong. And when nothing's wrong and there's nothing to worry about and there's no past and no future, we have a real opportunity to be what's called mindful. So children are mindful. They're able to pay attention. So mindfulness is about just paying attention. We're always mindful of something. So we're always practicing mindfulness. It's just, what are we mindful of? So as a child, I was mindful. I was present in whatever activity that I was doing. I could be there completely. And I would play on the street for hours and not even know the time, not even see where time went, and then be called into home. And all of a sudden there was a thud, and I had to like come home because, you know, it's late and I'm pissed off now. And so I struggle. That started my, but at some age, something's wrong. So as our childhood goes on, and it's different for everyone. For me, it was 1983. So in 1983, I can't remember before that anything ever being wrong. I can't remember worrying. I can't remember not being present. I can't remember thinking of the future or the past. I just can remember 1983, I watched a scary movie, and it was called The Day After, and it was about nuclear war. And the next day, I thought about that movie all day. And I wasn't able to play that day. I couldn't go play. I couldn't go out. I remember sitting right where I was sitting on the gymnasium steps. Everybody was playing, but I was thinking. And so that's the first time I started suffering from the disease of thinking. And it was an affliction. So here I go. Now the little thinking mind was going, and I couldn't stop it. And I began to then worry about other things. And I began to think about my reputation, and I began to think about if I fit in. And I started getting, conscious of myself, and I started being mindful of what are people thinking about me. And this goes on and on and on. And then sometime I found drugs and alcohol. And when I found drugs and alcohol, what I really found was mindfulness again. It took away that time in my life where I was worrying about the future and the past. And it stopped that and allowed me to be completely mindful of the current moment and what was going on. So drugs were this answer. Started with booze and then weed, and I could just be so present to the video games I was playing or whatever it is that I was doing. So I practiced, drugs was my way to practice mindfulness. It was my way to pay attention. And I needed those drugs to pay attention. And when I didn't have those drugs, there it came again. It came back. Past, future, worry, concern, identity problems, money problems, bills, all that came back in. And so it wasn't until my third year sober that I was that I actually found out what mindfulness was. I started learning it from Eckhart Tolle, and then I went down several, many other roads and other teachers. And Eckhart Tolle, he does what's called floodlight mindfulness. So what that means is he's saying, be present to everything. Just be present. And that's his teaching, is to be present. That's all he says, just be present. When you're not present, be present. Well, I started to go along a little bit, and I found out that's not that easy. I found out that it's not that easy just to be present, and there was some difficulty there. So then I read Michael Singer in Untethered Soul, and if you read Michael Singer, what he says is that there's two things with mindfulness. One is that we could be present, and then the other thing we do with the other hand is we figure out why we're not. So when we're not present, we figure out what's causing that mind to be pulled in the other directions, and then we deal with it. And so Michael Singer was next, and then I started understanding that there was two types of mindfulness. There's floodlight mindfulness and spotlight mindfulness. There's both. We're hyper focused on one thing, paying attention, like watching somebody roll a joint. If you ever watch somebody roll a joint, they are very mindful. They look at it, they roll it, and then they lick it. That's mindfulness right there. That's spotlight mindfulness, paying close attention to the current moment and what you're doing. So there was these two types, and I started kind of understanding that my awareness could be floodlight awareness, or my awareness could be spotlight awareness. And then it began, okay, what am I paying attention to? So now I was learning to pay attention to my thoughts, and I was learning to pay attention to my body, and I was learning to pay attention to my feet pain, and I was learning to pay attention to my heart rate, and all the while I'm trying to connect with the current moment, and my awareness and my mindfulness would go up, would go out and in and out and in. And so it was a practice. When I'm in pain, what happens when you get in pain is that you get a spotlight awareness. You're hyper-focused on the person or the blame, or you're hyper-focused either on your body or whatever it is that you're focused on when you're in pain. But normally you're focused on the other person's behavior. So you're mindful of the other person's behavior, and you're practicing mindfulness and looking at their behavior and going over it. You can't even see what's going on around you because the spotlight has gotten grips on you, and you're so tightened down to thinking about other people's behavior, and you're so in pain, and you think that the thinking will protect you. And if you think hard enough, you'll get out of this, and on and on and on. So over the next 3 weeks, I hope, maybe 4, I'm going to take you to what ended up being what I wanted to pay attention to. So with mindfulness, you can kind of direct your attention. It's not always easy, but there is kind of a movement where you can, figure out now, since you know about mindfulness, you can figure out, what am I paying attention to? And you can answer that question for yourself. You can go, what is it right now? I'm paying attention to this, or I'm paying attention to that. And what am I currently paying attention to? And am I exhibiting a floodlight mindfulness? And I'm looking at my surroundings, and I'm looking at the sun and the beach and everything around me and the people, and I'm just there? Or am I paying attention, hyper-focused? Is it more of a spotlight instead of a floodlight? So I started understanding that these changes in my body or whatever would cause also a change in floodlight, spotlight. And so as it fluctuated, I was able to watch it, and then it worked out all these years. And what it boiled down to, or what it got to, was a place where I want to kind of put my awareness on 3 areas. And the first, and we're going to be talking about these 3 areas. And the first area that I put my awareness on is my heart open or closed? So is my heart currently open or closed, and what it takes to reopen the heart? And so I found out really quickly when my heart closed, I'm in a protection mode and I'm protecting myself. And when that happens, I want out of that because my goal in life is to keep my heart open as much as possible. I want to keep my heart open all the time. I don't want to close it down on people. I don't want to close it down on situations. I don't want to do anything. I want to keep this thing open. And when it's open, I'm not in pain. When it's open, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling love and connection and all those things. And all of a sudden, then my heart closes. And notice when your heart closes, you're always right. I want you to notice when the heart closes that you're always right. So we're going to talk about open and closed heart maybe next week. But the second thing that I said is that the other area that we want to focus on is mental freedom. So I wanted this thing, I want to be present, but what's making me not present? And this leads me into a pathway of work that I have to do. I have to talk to people, or I have to deal with problems, or I have to pay a bill, or I have to do something that's causing me to not be mindful. So, So the next area that we're going to deal with in the first area, like I said, is open heart, closed heart. The next area that we're going to talk about is mental bondage and mental freedom. And tonight I want to go into power a little bit. And so what I want to talk about is power. And people don't understand what I mean by that. But power is what you've came here for. An ability to make a difference in relationships. An ability to make a relationship better. An ability to actually be cause in the matter. So this is more about power in relationships, not power as regard to money or things or anything like that. It's power as in regards to relationships. I want the ability to make things better. I want to connect deeper. I want to find love. And through power, I can open my heart and find love with people. And I want to connect with those people and have deep, meaningful relationships. So the first area, power, and we're going to talk a little bit about relationship and power in those relationships. And the first thing I want to tell you is the start of power. One of the things that you need to understand by being responsible for relationships is that I am what relationship is. So I want you to kind of look at this and hear what I'm saying. I am what relationship is. And what that means that if I am satisfied, the relationship is satisfactory. If I am happy, the relationship is happy. If I am love, the relationship is love. All me. Nothing to do with the other person. If I am aggravated, the relationship is aggravating. If I am annoyed, the relationship is annoying. If I am angry, the relationship is angry. So I am what that is. And true power means I am what everything is. If I am fun, that is fun. If I am happy, that is happy. And whatever it is. So true power starts when you get the notion that you're all of it, you can be all of it. I am what relationship is. I am what that is. I am what today is. If I am grumpy, today is grumpy. If I am happy, today is happy. If I am satisfied, today is satisfying. So you see most people, they have this list about the relationship, and each partner has their list. If this person would change in these particular 10 ways, then the relationship would be good. And each one of you could write your list, and then you could hand it to the other person, and you can say, now make up, do this, fix yourself, get up. After they fix those 10 things, I guarantee you'd find 10 more. I guarantee it, because I am what relationship is. And so power starts when we begin to see that I can make that difference. So controversial tonight. I'm going to say nibble on it because you've all heard differently. And I love two things that I find not true. Now, you might find them true, so I'm asking you to try it on as true. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying, just look for me, please. I'm not saying, hey, I'm right, you're wrong. So the first thing that I find true is that there is no such thing as my side of the street in regards to power. There's not halfway, that a relationship is not 50-50. I'm not over here saying, I'm going to clean up my side of the street. I'm going to wait for you to clean up yours, and then we'll be happy. I'm going to clean up my side of the street first, then I'm coming over. Then I'm coming over to your side of the street, and we're going to fix that too. And you're going to want to fix it because of the way that I can improve you through my behavior. So I am saying my side of the street is my behavior. It's all of it. And if I behave well, I can inspire these changes that you want to make. And if I can figure out a way to do that, I can have true power. So if my neighbor has a terrible lawn and I want to go to his side of the street, I could just sit there and go, well, I can't control my neighbor. There's nothing I can do. It's his side of the street. At least mine's clean, and I can be a real superior, smug asshole. What's going on? So I can be smug and superior in that time. Or I can say, I'm going to clean up my side of the street, and then I'm going to go over and help my neighbor clean up his. But it's going to take something. One of the things I got to do when I go help somebody is I got to have very little holes in my game. Because what people want when you tell them that their side of the street isn't clean, they want to point out all your flaws. So now I have to work on myself to gain power because I have to clean up my flaws so that I can come over and we're not arguing about my life. We're talking about yours. We're talking about how I can serve you and how I can help you. And I can now own the whole street. It's not 50-50. I'm responsible for the whole relationship. I am what that is. If I am happy, if I am satisfied with my neighborhood, that is a satisfying neighborhood. If I am satisfied with my neighbor, then it's satisfied. I just have to state it. All I have to do is say it. I am satisfied with this relationship. Therefore, I'm satisfied with this relationship. Now, and other people say, I'm not satisfied with the relationship. Well, guess what? Then the relationship isn't satisfying. And it's because you said it, not because it's true. So the first thing I'm going to say is there's no such thing as one person's side of the street or another side of the street. And when you're saying that somebody else needs to clean up their side, or you can't help somebody clean up their side, I figure that just not to be true at all. I think we can actually help people to inspire them to want to be better around us if we do the right things ourselves. The second thing that is a power give up that people have, and this is going to be a tough one, so please just try it on. I do not believe in stating boundaries. I do not believe in that, and I think it's weak. See, if I create a boundary around me, I'm smaller. Power has no boundaries. So if you want to be powerless, state your boundaries. And what that'll mean is I am powerless. If you come in here, I'm going to be angry and hurt, and I'm going to close my heart, and it's just not going to be okay. And notice people that state their boundaries always have people break their boundaries. Just please notice that. The boundaries aren't stated, power is lived. And when I exhibit power, people know my boundaries without even saying them. I never have to state them. And I always give the example of a teacher in high school. The teacher had boundaries. He just never told you what they were, and you never messed with him because he was a powerful, respected person. And he inspired you to not go past a line that you created in your own mind. And when we talk about boundaries, just please understand that people's behavior creates their boundaries, not their words. If you're trying to create boundaries with your words, that means somebody's already crossed your boundary and you're not exhibiting the behavior that they felt necessary to not cross that boundary. So that's controversial for people, because if you go to any therapist or anywhere you go, they're going to tell you to create boundaries. They're going to say, state your boundaries. They're not going to tell you, hey, why don't you live more powerfully? Why don't you not put a fence around yourself? Why don't you open up and be able to be bigger? And if somebody hurts you, feel the pain and then grow from it. And just power is what and so power now, if I have boundaries, guess what I can do in the relationship to fix it? Nothing. There's nothing to do. I have to wait inside my boundaries and hope they don't cross them. And if they do, I'm going to exhibit anger. So that's what and I'm not talking about, don't take this to an unrealistic level where I'm saying, should I just let people, steal from me or anything like that? That's not, no, don't go outlier. Should I let just crazy people live in my home? No. But I'm talking about more emotional boundaries. I'm talking about more things like that. So with power, I have a very little belief in boundaries. And power means I can't trap myself in here, because I got to be able to come over there and I got to be able to come everywhere. And name anything that's powerful that has boundaries. Just tell me what that would be. So to be powerful, I have to kind of eliminate these. I have to kind of go, hey, nothing you could do can shake me. Nothing. I'm going to accept it. I'm not saying I'm going to let it keep happening, but I'm going to be big. I'm going to be strong in this stuff. So we have first of all, not going 50-50 and saying, I'm the whole side of the street. Eliminating boundaries and saying, hey, I can be big. I'm not superior. I'm not hurt. I'm not a victim. And then the third thing that I want to talk about is the definition of integrity that we're using down here this week, or I hope they're using it. And it's this definition of integrity that maybe you've never heard before, but I want you to hear it tonight, and so that we can talk in the same language. And the definition that I'm talking about is integrity is not a moral thing. And I would hope for this definition, and just try it on. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that integrity has nothing to do with morals. Integrity has to do with strength, functionality. So if a chair, which it can have integrity, unless you knock out a leg, the chair has integrity. A shirt can have integrity unless you wash it too much or rip it, it loses its integrity. So if it's a moral thing, how can a shirt, a tire, how could any of these things have integrity? They do, and they're not morals. So integrity, for the definition I want to use going forward, just to help teach, is 1, whole and complete. When I'm whole and complete, I have integrity. I'm whole and complete. I have function. See, when a tire doesn't have integrity, it loses its functionality. When a shirt doesn't have integrity, it loses its functionability. It can't function. So I have to have integrity to have power to function. So what that means is, when I am in a situation with somebody, I have to admit my faults. I have to admit my wrongdoing. I have to acknowledge my wrongdoing. I have to do all these things to begin the negotiation of a relationship. I have to be able to actually say, this is what I did wrong. This is what I've done to you. And that's a restoration of my integrity, because if I don't acknowledge that, then they're always thinking that when they're talking about my behavior and my side of the street, when we're trying to talk about theirs. So we have a definition of power here that means my ability to make a difference in my relationships, my ability to make a difference at my job, my ability to make a difference with my family, my ability to be responsible and make a difference with my lover or my wife or whoever it is. And you'll just see most relationships are trying to be 50-50, people trying to quit, and it just becomes a game of rightness. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right. It's the same old story every time. This ain't fair. I'm not being treated fairly. You should do more. I have to do too much. I'm always doing this. You're always doing that. Yada, 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 yada. But what about love? What about connectivity? What about no rightness? Anything that you're ever in love with, it's not wrong. So when we make out people to be wrong, we can't love them. We cannot be in love with something that's wrong. It doesn't coexist. So to understand that, I need you all to be right for me to love you. I need you to be right. When I get my ice cream and it tastes so good and I love it, that's because there's nothing wrong with it. I don't pick it apart and make it wrong. So that's what we're doing to each other. We have now established that in a relationship, what wins is who's more right. Love is not even in the love. What do you mean? I got to tell them how wrong they are. I got to tell them why the relationship is unsatisfactory. I got to tell them everything about themselves, and then they'll fix it, and then I'll be in love with them. No, you won't. Not the way it works. And the bickering is exhausting. Watching people in relationships bicker and bicker and bicker, it's exhausting. Do you love each other? Yeah, we love each other. No, you just say that shit. You just say it. Why do you say it? When's the last time you've experienced love with the other person? I'm talking about crying. I'm talking about loving so much you cry. I'm talking about having the experience of love. So through power, through not being a victim, through not being right, through not shutting myself down, that power can make love, and love can change the relationship. Love can change the whole street. So getting to a place where we understand all what this is about. I said, put a spotlight on these three things in your life. Ask these three questions. Is my heart open or closed? Am I mentally free or am I bonded? Am I powerful or am I a victim? And all three of those answers, if you answer, I am bonded, well, you can't be in love. If you say, I am powerless to change my relationship, you can't be in love. And I want you to also note that if you think that you're powerless to change it, you're also being right. And the reason you think you're powerless to change it is because they're wrong, you don't know how to tell them. And that's just not true. It's you to start this thing. And so, am I mentally bonded? Is my heart open or closed? And am I powerful? Am I mentally bonded? Is my heart open or closed? Am I powerful? Am I mentally bonded? Is my heart open or closed? And am I powerful? So this is a spotlight we put on these three areas. And we're going to discuss tonight. We discuss power. And then next week we can discuss open heart, closed heart, and what causes it, and what happens to people when they get their heart closed. And we can talk about mindfulness if you want, or whatever. But mindfulness should be a pathway to love. That's it. Mindfulness is if I can be present and truthful, well, guess what? That's where love shows up. That's the garden. So if I have the soil, which is presence and truth, try to love somebody without presence and without truth. So mindfulness is a practice of clearing all the stuff out so I can find truth and presence, thus connecting in love. I always used to say that love is the most calmest place in me, finding the most calmest place in you. Well, how do we get to that calm place? How do we get where we're both so calm that we can appreciate and love each other? And that's through mindfulness. That's the way. Because the mindfulness is the clearing. It's the observing myself and putting these, is my heart closed? Because I can't love somebody if it is, and I need to keep this thing open or I won't experience love. That's what we're all looking for. Connection and love. If you're looking for something else other than connection and love, tell me. Just admit it. Just say, I don't care about connection and love. I want money. I want dominance. I want to be right all the time. I need to make a list of how everyone in my life is wrong, and I got to put it out to them, and I got to let them acknowledge it. Someday, everyone in my life is going to tell me and admit how wrong they've been. So this constant, so for me, and I'm not there, I'm just saying this is, well, with my wife, mindfulness has led me the ability to love her. It's led me to the place where I don't have to be right with her. It's led me to a place where she can tell me why I'm wrong and I can listen. And I can believe it. I can go, okay, I see that. And that's what it's done. So mindfulness is this pathway to love. And if it's something else for you, I don't know what it would be, but it's also a pathway to calmness. But the calmness gets you to love, because you can be calm enough and wrong enough to be in love. And if you want to make me out to be wrong tonight and say, what, you disagree with it? Okay. What's that get us? Okay, that gets you something. Well, let's talk it out. Let's see what you're experiencing as a human. And it probably, like I said, you might have lost, something might have been majorly wrong in your life when you were 5. And that sucks, because you didn't even get that 5 years of freedom from 5 to 10 and enjoy it. And so, that sucks, because that's traumatizing, and that's losing your mental freedom and closing your heart down when you're way too young for that to be happening. I happen to live in my childhood was beautiful. My parents were very good and loving, and it was calm and safe, and no predators. And because of that, I did get mental freedom, but that damn movie took it away, and then other things began to take it away after that. But very scary times, for little Art. So that was, that's the pathway. And just for all you drug addicts, please, just understand, people that have been addicted to drugs, that's just mindfulness. That's just wanting to clear the past and future and want to be present in their life. Who wouldn't want to do that? Who wouldn't want to take a substance that put them beyond worry, that put them beyond fears, and put them in a place where they could be in joy? They could just enjoy life. And for all of us people that did drugs, when we first started taking them, that's what they did. That's what they did. The ultimate, just I remember drugs being so good for me that I remember distinctly a time where I took opiates and I turned up the radio. I'm going to tell you what song it was. It was Shaggy. It wasn't me. And I turned that song up in my car so loud. And I remember saying, I will never not do opiates. Never. I will never, ever quit because this is too damn good. But the consequences start coming and the drugs stop working for mindfulness, because even when you take the drugs, it's still there. Worry and pain and resentment and panic and all that stuff. And the drugs don't work anymore. And so you have to give it up. So why would we teach mindfulness here? Because this is it. You have to learn to be present in your life and you have to find it. And drugs also helped us love. Boy, when I took opiates, I loved everyone. No hate in my heart. My heart just opened up. And I also felt powerful. I would sit in a room with no opiates and I felt I couldn't even talk to people. I couldn't even speak. And then I would take some opiates and then there I go. I was in a van once from King County Jail to Yakima Jail. And I had to check myself into King County Jail, which is the most unnatural thing a human being could do. But I did it. I had to drive down there and I had to be there by midnight. So I checked myself in and, I got as high as you could get all day and drunk all day. And then I checked myself in. So I stayed there like 2 days and then I had to transfer to Yakima. And when they did, they gave me my coat back. And so I felt, and I get on the bus with 5 other people and we're heading over Snoqualmie Pass. And I felt something right here. And I opened it. It was a bunch of opiate, a bunch of pills, morphine and methadone. And I started handing them out like they were candy on the bus. So there was like 5 or 6 of us on this bus, and it was dead silent till we got to the top of Snoqualmie. And when the pills kicked in, everybody's business ideas came out. We all loved each other. It was so fun. We're making plans for the future. I'm like making plans for the future with this girl. Yeah, we'll start a company when we get out, and the guards must have just been going, what the hell? But that's because we all got out of our minds, became present. So we all started practicing mindfulness. We enjoyed the current moment. And the drugs do that for us. And I can't see, it's such a beautiful thing. They allow us to change and alter and control the moment. And now we have to do that through mindfulness without the use of drugs, because we realized, man, when I use those drugs, the consequences outweigh any of that, the gain. And so that's what we're doing here. And I would like to take us on a journey the next three weeks into power, and all of this is about relationships. So having power in the relationships and having an open heart in relationships and actually having mental freedom in relationships. How many times are you supposed to be in a place that you're having fun, but you're not, because you're in a fight, you're bickering, and it ruins it. That's a lack of mindfulness. That's a lack of, you can't pay attention. So something's taken your awareness. And now you could be at the Super Bowl with your wife. You could be out to dinner at the finest restaurant. You two get in a fight and you just ruin the whole thing. I remember one time Kyle pissed me off so bad, it ruined me and Angie's dinner. We're at dinner and all I could think about was what a screw up Kyle was, So, and it was like a steakhouse. It was Binion's Steakhouse, And I waited all day to go to this meal, and then Kyle calls me with some mistake right before the meal. And then I'm mindful of Kyle only. The steak's coming, the lobster's coming, the big baked potatoes coming, but I can't even eat.
Was that the rent?
I don't remember what it was. Angie might remember, but
The rent?
Oh, I don't remember what.
one of your many mistakes,
Yeah,
Kyle. I mean, there's too many to count.
My mom last night.
No, actually, the rent was a different one. That was in the middle of the day, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs walking through the Cosmopolitan on the phone with Kyle, just yelling at him. That wasn't fun either. So,
Classic Kyle.
classic Kyle. Okay, so we're going to open up, and I remember this power aspect because I want you to know where we've gone so far with it. And Power, I'm suggesting, comes through integrity, and integrity means I'm whole and complete. I've said everything. I'm truthful. I'm one. I'm not, with integrity, we don't have an interaction with our partner and then talk to somebody else about it. That's not integrity. We face the fire and we talk till it goes away. We talk till completion. So integrity means I don't talk behind people's back. I'm not two-faced. I deal with people in the relationship, and the fire of the relationship is hot sometimes, and I feel like I can't talk to that person. So sometimes I got to run it by other people, or I got to do things, but I need to get back there and I need to say what I'm going to say. And that shows integrity. That shows strength. That shows whole and complete. And when we do that, it functions. But a workplace that is a circle, and everybody at the job is a circle. And if it's a good workplace with good culture, everything stays in the circle. But if people go home at night and they're two-faced and they talk about their boss behind their back and their coworkers behind their back, that workplace loses its integrity. It's not a circle anymore. It's actually just shredded. And so it can't function as a workplace. And then people call it a hostile work environment. Well, what are you doing? You're there, right? You have an ability to make it not hostile. You have an ability through your behavior to do things. If I told any one of you to go up to Safeway tonight and ruin people's day, you could do it. You all know how to do it. So don't tell me you don't have power. But if I told you to go up to Safeway and make people smile and make people happy, you wouldn't even go to your work and make everyone happy tomorrow. You wouldn't know what to do. Go to work and talk to people tomorrow and be truthful. You might not know what to do, but if I told you to go to work tomorrow and mess up everyone's day, you would know exactly what to do. So don't tell me you don't have power. You just think you just like complaining about that, and that makes you feel powerful. But you can't complain about making everybody's day better. So that might not even have any value to you. But people are so used to complaining, it makes them feel so powerful. And it's the opposite of power. When I'm making people wrong, I'm powerless. Every time, 100%. So when you're in your head and you're thinking about how people are wrong, you're powerless. You're a victim, and you're also superior. And you think you're better than people. So when I get in that mode of being superior and thinking I'm better, I have to open my heart back up. And I have to look at why they're right. I have to understand them. I got to try. Because if I don't, I can get closed off more. And my goal no longer in life is I hope it's not, but my goal for the last at least couple years of my life has been to not have to be right. To be able to accept, to be able to make them right, to understand why people are good and they're just doing what they're doing because they're doing what they're doing. They're doing what their thoughts tell them to do. Okay, that's fine. Whatever it is. And it gets you to a place where you can love people. But guess what? Try to love something that's wrong. So when you're making your husband wrong, or you're making your wife wrong, or you're making your kids wrong, and you're ruminating in your head about how wrong everybody is, I know that might feel powerful to you, and it might feel powerful to call your friend and talk about your family and how wrong it is. That might feel powerful too, but it's not. There's no power in it. So any questions people have on power or thoughts or boundaries or, it's just this traditional thing. You just go and somebody tells you, you need boundaries. Well, of course you do. Of course you do. But it's on you to behave differently. It's not on you just to go home and to state what people should do, because they ain't listening. I had a girl once. She didn't mention once that if I cheated on her, she would be done with me. But I cheated on her, and guess what? She was done with me.
No.
She was done with me. I call that a damn powerful boundary. But she never said, but now I dated a lot of other girls, and they said, if you cheat on me, we're going to be done. And I cheated on them, and we weren't done. Why'd you state that? And that happened with many other girls. It was a game. I'm going to cross your boundary. And that's going to give you power, and you're going to feel powerful because I'm wrong and I crossed your boundary, and I'm going to have to change and be sweet and kiss up to you and win you back over and wine and dine you. And you're going to feel real powerful in that time, but I'm going to win you back. And then I'm going to take the power back. And then you're going to say, don't do that again. But it's not power. It's a boundary. People that state, if I have a teacher in high school and they write the rules up on the board, every kid in that class is going to break them rules. Guaranteed.
It's a menu for punishments.
Yeah. A menu for,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's where to go to piss me off. Let me tell you where to go. I love it. And just tell me if I'm wrong. Did you parents not create a boundary that drug use was, or did all the parents go, drug use is acceptable in my home? No. They all went, drug use is unacceptable in my home. Guess what every addict did? Drug use in their parents' home. 100%. Good. I'm glad you established that boundary. That was nice. That was a good thing. I'm glad that whatever told you to do it. You go home. I've never thought of this. I'm going to go home and tell my kid he can't use drugs in my house. This should work. Yeah. Oh, wait, he's not talking to me right now because his door locked because he's in there doing drugs. Yeah, I know. Power doesn't have that. There's a lot of people I just know not to mess with. They never have to tell me. So let's open it up.
I'm looking for your hands. Angie usually does this part. Let's get more hands up than she gets. And ask Art some questions. So we're ready, I think.
Yeah. Or comments or anything. Whoa.
Want somebody to shoot a gun over there?
Yeah.
All right, we open it up.
We're trying.
Questions in here, guys? Comments?
I left a good amount of time, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got
We can call on people.
Yeah, just
up there. I can't see well. Is that Carrie? Yes. Hey, Rose. Hold on.
Pardon?
Yeah.
okay, here we go.
Hey, okay, a comment on the boundaries. I know you said, I think you were really nervous about suggesting this one. And
I'm the only one in the world saying it. You won't find anyone else in the world that says you shouldn't create boundaries.
No, I agree, but I heard you, and I would much rather take the approach that you do, and I'm gonna give it a whirl. You know, I don't think I've ever stood out and said these are my. Well, I know I have, but it's not like I do that on a daily basis. But with certain people, I may have.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's something that you should have been nervous about talking about. I really did like that this philosophy. So thank you.
Yeah. It's it always comes down to two things when I hear boundaries. One of the first things that people are usually talking about is where someone does drugs or what they allow in their home. And the other thing is being cheated on or, yeah, and by no means am I saying be cheated on and stay. By no means am I saying be abused and stick around the abuser. But what good would it do to tell the abuser your boundary? You think he's going to listen? Go, oh, wait, I don't want to cross this person's boundary. And what good would it do to tell someone, you know, a drug addict has no boundaries. You got to get him into treatment. That's it. You know, I mean, if I was here living here trying to create boundaries, like, hey, please don't steal my car. Well, if they want to steal my car, they're going to steal my car. You know, I mean, don't steal my stuff. Don't come in my room. Don't whatever. Go to bed on time. Don't wake up late. You're going to cross my boundary. Well, people are tired sometimes. I'm not hurt by it. So, yeah.
Well, but I also wonder too, I mean, there is the time in our life when we're creating little bundles.
Yeah.
That we kind of, you know, lay out this is what our family believes in and stuff like that. So they're not surprised when we say, okay, well, we've tried a few things and off you go to rehab because we said this isn't right. So I also don't think that you're saying, don't tell people that drugs are not acceptable in our family.
No, well, it doesn't do any good, but they should know that. It's a given, isn't it?
I
mean,
think
they
so.
were raised in a house that no one's doing drugs. It's a given that they shouldn't be doing drugs there. That's why they're
Yeah.
hiding. They're not out at the living room with everyone at the Thanksgiving ripping out their needle and shooting up and going, "Hey, it's fine, right?" They're not.
Yeah.
So notice they're in the bathroom hiding. Yeah. That's because they have an inability to stop what they're doing, and the location happens to be your home. And
Bathroom has a door.
yeah, the bathroom has a door, and I'm sorry, but
Mhm.
you would know if I was doing drugs if I just ran out of the house and went out to the shed for a while. That would look highly suspicious. So I'm not going to do that, But see, what I'm trying to say is boundaries are lived through power.
Mhm.
Powerful people don't need to state them. And your behavior creates your boundaries. And people are watching your behavior from the start. People are watching what they can say around you. They're looking at your reaction on your face when they say something. Maybe you're talking about politics. You can figure out by somebody's reaction where they're at on the scale, left or right. You can see if they laugh at your joke or if they don't. You can see where people are at in any discussion. You can figure out people's boundaries. You don't even need them to say it. You can just look around. You can see when somebody's got the offended face, and you go, "Oh shit, I hit their boundary. They're offended." It's all like that. It's just this thing that we read social cues and we know. And it seems as if it's very difficult for someone to not be a victim and state their boundaries. We're always in that kind of victim mode. So, it's not very powerful to be in victim. Yeah.
No.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
The Carlsons.
Hey, I'm just trying to grasp this. So, I understand, boundaries. It seems like what you're saying is once they're kind of stated, it's like a boundary without consequences is useless, So it's like, if I'm just going to state my lines, I'm pretty much limiting my openness. And so as far as if I'm going to be set on being right, then everything shuts down.
Well, let's take it this step further, like for your guys' situation. You have a youngster, he's acting out, he's doing what he's doing. Most of the time that we're stating those boundaries, hasn't the act already been committed?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So the act has already been committed, and you've already been victimized by the act. And now you're trying to stop that act from continue to happen with consequences. And that just never seems to work, correct?
Correct.
See, the boundary wasn't lived up to that for some reason. It doesn't have anything to do with your wrongness or his wrongness. It just went that way. That something's causing him to cross these lines. Something. We're not sure. We can't say he's evil. We can't say anything. We can say he's lost. We can say he's disturbed at the moment. We can say he's restless. But something's causing him to cross these lines. And so if I don't address what's causing him to cross these lines, and I just state lines he shouldn't cross, he's going to still cross those lines. It's like telling water not to go downhill. It's like telling, fire to chill and not come into your home. It doesn't work. The fire's going to come in. So understanding that most of the time people are stating boundaries, they've already had it crossed in their life and it's too late. And now consequences don't do the trick. And we all know this. Almost every parent on here will attest to this, that they tried consequences, they tried contracts, they tried all these things. And then somebody tells you to create your boundaries as if you're like, oh, what a great idea. Like, I'm going to go tell them not to do it. It's like, well, they've already done it and they're doing it. It's like, what a great idea. I'm going to tell my wife not to cheat. That's gonna be brilliant. She'll never do it. No, I have to like love my wife so she doesn't want to do that. I have to make her feel safe. I have to figure out if we're in a state in our relationship that would be a possibility. And if it is, then I got to talk about things and I got to address it and I got to do the work. I can't just state things. So responsibility and power comes when you realize that there's work to be done on your part that kind of, make you more powerful. And when you're in a position that boundaries have already been crossed and you're trying to state them so they're not crossed again, you're kind of already in trouble. So you know that, right? And what do you do? Yeah. So now the question that was just asked, now what do you do now? Right? And that's tough because it's almost as if you've been beaten into a corner and allowed this pummeling to go on for many years, and you've been like just being pummeled. And now what you have to do, there's no jab that'll do the trick. You need a huge right hook. And now the pendulum swings to where the precedent has never been set. And all of a sudden the person is shocked and offended that you've changed, right? Now they're like, you've really changed, Mom. It's like, no, you're doing crazier and crazier shit. I haven't changed, but that's what they use, right? So, I haven't even went so far now as to like think it through of what's next, but it is a big right hook and it is a big like change, and it has to be. And they have to feel the impact of that, and they do, and they know. And so a guy that cheats on his wife and his wife finally kicks him out after the 6th time, he gets it. He gets it. But he'll say, oh, wow, you've really turned into a witch, or you've really changed. And he'll gaslight that wife, and he'll say it's her fault. And because she's set that precedent that it's okay. So when we're doing a rapid change on somebody's behavior, it sucks because the gaslighting is really, really true and it feels real. And so if I allow somebody to sleep in here every day because I don't want to confront them, and I let them sleep in and I don't want to have the conversation, and I don't want to do it, and I don't deal with it, when I actually try to get them up on time, I'm the asshole. I've changed. It's like, wow, Art, you're a real dick. It's like, dude, I've been being nice for this whole time. Allowing for you, see? So our kindness gets mistaken, and you guys are a prime example of kindness mistaken for weakness. But you're not, But he's using that when kind to people like yourselves that don't really like to speak and say harsh things to people or say truth to people, you get in that position where somebody will just pummel you, especially a drug addict.
He's been stronger than us for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's beautiful when you're learning this stuff, though, and it's beautiful when you see it and you're not delusional for how it is. When you understand that every contract that a parent's ever written with a kid, every boundary all of them have been crossed, and now you're trying to take this easy way, and you're very hopeful that your boundaries work, and you're very hopeful. And I say, in drug addiction, please do not have hope. It is the one thing that will really kill you if you're hoping that your addict will change. No, you have to influence that change. You have to be part of the change. I don't hope that my kitchen's going to get clean. I don't hope that I'm going to have money in the bank. Anything that's real, you don't hope for. But hope is this thing people try to give you that means you're hoping the other person is just going to change on a whim. And you get a little hope. And of course, it doesn't work. So we're not providing hope. We're providing real changes in behavior that lead to the other person changing in behavior, which, by the way, is called power. We're providing an influence to change and affect the relationship in a powerful way, and not just state words. And the least powerful way to get someone to change is through words. It is the least powerful thing you can do. So, anyways, thank you I know your predicament too, but it takes a big right hook, and it sucks because it feels like you're so mean, and it feels like you're so ruthless, and you just get reinforced because they tell you you're mean and they tell you you're ruthless, and it is agony, but this is making you stronger, and you'll sit through it and sit through the pain and don't give, and you will make it. It will happen.
Yeah.
Remember what I said. His circumstances are what's going to change his behavior right now, not your words, not your love either.
Not when I find cute pictures, send them.
No, yeah. Every mom just smiled because they've all done it. And it's just this image of like a drug addict out on the street doing drugs, and then the text comes in,
And it's here.
and they're like, "She does love me. Mom said she loves me. I'm heading home. I was thinking my mom didn't love me." It's like, oh my God, look at this picture of me and her. Oh my God, I'm getting off the drugs. No. We know our parents love us. Trust me. We do know. We feel it. We know. We know how concerned you are. You know, in most cases, some people's parents are a little off or whatever, but in most times, we know our family loves us and we know we're hurting them, but we can't stop it. Yeah. Okay. Who's next? You next?
9 minutes here.
We got 9 minutes. Let's go.
Go ahead.
No.
Oh, it's,
Take an updated screenshot for me, Travis.
I don't know how to do that, but I'm all ears.
So I know who's on. I don't like not. I have to go. Oh, yeah. I don't like not knowing who's out there in Zoom land.
Oh, I got you one. You're good. Angie, go ahead. Call on someone there that has a burning desire.
I have a comment.
Okay.
This is Jennifer. I loved how you said that right hook, and I was just kind of thinking that in and of itself is an act of love towards your loved one, right? Because it might not necessarily be a boundary per se, but you're giving opportunities because you really want to love that person, but you can't make them change, like you said, with their words. But taking action and demonstration, that is an act of love.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Is that who Jennifer's that?
It's Jennifer Smith. Yoga, Jennifer Smith.
I know who Jennifer Smith is.
Yes.
Nice to hear from you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Guess what? I have good news.
What's that?
My son's in jail.
Hey.
Always heard people say the parents are safer in jail than they
It's nice to get some sleep, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's true.
He's in for a long time too, till May.
Then what?
Long time.
He's in till May.
That's a long time.
Well, that might be a little harsh, poor guy.
right under his butt when he gets hot.
All right. Well, if no one wants to argue, damn it.
I have one other comment, just like a comparison. You had talked, I don't remember exactly what you said, but you were talking about love. Love can't like coexist with, I don't know if you said hate or anger or what it was, but it also is kind of like light and darkness can't be in the same room together, right?
That's right. That's right. And what I said was love cannot coexist with wrongness. So if you're thinking about somebody's wrongness, then you can't love them. You can't do the act of love, and you can't be in the experience of love, and you can just angrily say, I love you, or you can just say that because that's what you say. And, all this stuff underlying where you're sitting there considering how the other person needs to change and all that and how wrong. You don't do that with things you love. You don't sit there and love your dog and go, I love my dog, but he really is kind of ugly and, he's getting fat and, you don't do that. You just love your dog. So your dog is right. And that's why you love it. And we as human beings have this awesome capacity to love dogs. We have very little capacity to love each other because we have this thing in our head It worries about fairness and how I look. And because it does that, it relates it to our relationships and the people around us and how we're looking. Are we being dominated? Are we being taken advantage of? Are we being treated unfairly? Are we being oppressed? You know, whatever this thing thinks it's happening, it's delusional. And so you really realize, well, man, what if I just want to be in love? Oh man, what do I got to do? Well, I got to give up being right. That's it. If two people could just give up being right and then state how wrong they are. Here's how wrong I am. Has anyone ever led a conversation like, let me tell you how wrong I am? Does that ever happen? It's like 100% with this bickering and this stuff, people going and going, let me tell you how wrong you are. And then actually thinking that's a conversation. Actually thinking that's going to make a difference. And sometime after your 1 millionth time of doing that, finally someone's going to go, I agree, I'm wrong. It's like never happened. Never. What you get is defense and anger. And that's because your heart's closed, and your heart's closed because they're wrong and you're protecting themselves and you want to make them right. You want them to make it right so you can open your heart back up. You want them to apologize or whatever it is. And that's what we're doing as humans. It's psychotic. And we're missing out loving each other. Families are just talking about their cousin's wrongness or their uncle's wrongness or their nephew's wrongness. And you're missing out because we're going to be gone soon. And we have to figure out how to make them right and understand them. And when we think about how we understand people, then we can, if we understand them, they're right. If we don't understand them, they're wrong. So what is the answer to loving? Understanding. So we have to understand the other person and stop making them wrong. And then all of a sudden our heart can be open and we can live that way. But, you know, I guess I'll just close because, and I want to recap what we're going into. I remember we touched on power, and we're going to touch a little more on that. And we're going to also deal with mental freedom, and we're going to deal with open heart and closed heart. And for trying it on, I want you to try on those 3 questions this week. Just please try them on for me. Is my heart closed or open? Do I have mental freedom, or am I mentally bonded? Is my spotlight awareness considering one thing that's got me bonded? Or do I have floodlight awareness right now and I feel like I'm in love and my heart's open and I got floodlight awareness and I can see everyone and I'm happy for my surroundings? Or am I hyper focused on how people are wronging me and how wrong someone is, and I'm writing things to them and telling them how wrong they are, and that little awareness is focused on that. What I'm saying is take your spotlight awareness that's so small and then surgically look at your heart and see if it's open, and look and see if you feel powerful, and look and see if you're playing a victim, and look and see if you're mentally free or mentally gone. So take this mindfulness and do some good with it. Get on a pathway to being able to love and open your heart and not make people wrong and not argue with people, and actually look at the beauty of what's going on around us. It's like pretty beautiful. It's like, thank you. We're here today with some gratitude. And I can go home and I can look at my husband or wife and I can try to start figuring out why they're right and give up making them wrong. And all of a sudden, if they get right, I can love them and my heart will stay open. So we'll go into these 3 topics over the next 3 weeks. And I hope if you miss one, you watch the recording for the next one and try to keep up on the conversation, because it's going to be ongoing. And I think that if we do it right, we can, and everyone nibbles on it a bit and takes this stuff and tries it out, put on the shoes for a little while and wear them. I think we can get to a place where we can start fixing some relationships. So thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 12th is the next one. If you are not on a text reminder list, if you don't get a text every week reminding you of what this week is, make sure to reach out to me, because you need to be on that list. So good night, everybody.
No one next week?
All of you guys, right, no food next week.